Good morning, Bande Matram. Welcome all of you. So the topic we are going to discuss right now is on three kinds of revolution. So three kinds of revolution the world knows. On that only we are going to have a brief discussion. The world knows three kinds of revolution. Many types of revolution in many parts of the world at many point of time we have observed. It is also still continuing, and this process will never stop in the near future. It is an ongoing process. Maybe never ending is not the right time, because it depends upon the change of consciousness. Still then, with this idea we are taking, the revolution will be never ending, it seems so. Anyway, what Sri Aurobindo quotes here, the world knows three kinds of revolution. Three kinds of revolution the world knows. Number one, matter. The material has strong results. Number one, the material has strong results. Second, the moral. After material goes to moral and intellectual are infinitely larger in their scope and richer in their fruit. Second, so number one, we have seen material has strong results. That is the number per matter we have seen, it has got wrong results. Most of the things we have seen according to it relates to the matter. Material has strong results. Second, moral and intellectual are infinitely larger in their scope and richer in their fruits. Second, after the material comes your moral and intellectual. These two are infinitely larger in their scope and richer in their results. And finally, spiritual. But the spiritual are great swings, it is unlimited, it is infinity, it is simply uncomparable, incredible rather. So here in the course of the three kinds of revolution that world knows. That world knows. No, we are normally conscious, and of course related to this first two. Almost most of the things, most parts we find the first one for the material has strong results with respect to matter, and it is material scope. Second, too little bit ahead we have observed the moral and the intellectual are infinitely rather larger in their scope and richer in their fruits. But the third one, it is totally incredible. Nobody knows, even unknowable and unthinkable even. The spiritual are great swings. So these the three results, three kinds of revolution that world knows. Of course, in different types, in different ways, at the different point of time, in the different names, in the different formats, we have seen revolutions coming and going. But mostly Sri Aurobindo differentiates into three categories. One is of material categories, second moral and intellectual, and the third is spiritual. And the spiritual category is just a just born device. So people normally know what really the spiritualism is. Anyway, we are moving forward to the next discussion, how Sri Aurobindo defines what we inappropriately call revolution. Not appropriately, what we call inappropriately revolution is only a rapidly concentrated movement of evolution. So revolution, that very strong term is used as a revolution. So for revolution, we have got sometimes I blink is there. We think in another format, another way, in another style. But thing is that Sri Aurobindo quotes, not to be confused. It is very interestingly, it is quoted, not to be confused. Sri Aurobindo categorically, characteristically, tries to explain what we inappropriately call revolution. Revolution, what we call revolution, that is here in the course, it is inappropriately called. is only a rapidly concentrated movement of evolution, rapidly concentrated movement of the evolution that is known to us inappropriately as in revolution, because we don't have the common understanding on what really this revolution is. Through this revolution we are moving rapidly on towards concentrated movement of evolution. Again, Sri Aurobindo quotes, so this revolution, it has got a great meaning, great blessings, great work, and a great contribution towards the evolution, and it brings a rapidly concentrated movement of evolution. Again, Sri Aurobindo quotes nicely, revolution hew the past to pieces. Revolutions hew the past to few pieces and cast it into, cauldron. But what has emerged is the old Asian with a new visage. What has emerged is the old Asian with a new visage. That's what we must see, and we must understand in a very great way and a very big way, of course. So, Sri Aurobindo, again we have seen, we want to go for the past revolutions. Sri Aurobindo tries to interpret in his own terms, break the moods of the past, break the moods of the past. Past has got its utility, and moreover, past is never to come back, but things is that. But the idea is that you must learn from the lessons what the past has kept and kept before us. Use past as a springboard to lean towards the future. So past must be analyzed, taken in a bright page of mind. So break the moods of the past, but keep safe its gains and its spirit. So or else there is no future. Past, once upon a time it was future, it became present and glided into the past. So past must be taken care, break the moods of the past. Thing is that it is not there. We have already emerged, evolved, we have gone, climbed up. Thing is that it has got no that much no value, no binding. So break it, the moods of the past, but keep safe its gains and the spirit. It had some gains, it had got some spirit, try to keep it and safe, or else thou hast no future. Against your in the quotes on the revolution, the world has had only a half dozen successful revolutions. Most of the time, so many revolutions have occurred, not one or two. It is in dozens, uncountable dozens of revolutions we have seen. But here in the course only successful revolution, two categories. If you find the success and the failure, the world has had only half a dozen successful revolutions. Half a dozen successful revolutions out of unnumbered, uncountable. Everything almost ended in failure, but only half a dozen of successful revolutions, and most even of these were very like failures. Most of the time it is failure. Yet it is by great and noble failure that humanity advances. So you should not be discouraged with the meeting with failure. All the splendid failures sum to victory. Failure has its gain. The Rome was not built in a day. It takes time. You have to take the future in your. You have to take on the future. You have to wait for the future. But thing is, past has its own blessings. Once upon a time, this past was also still lying as a thing of future. So, Sri Aurobindo quotes this many revolutions you have seen, but actually most of the things have failed or in vain. That ended in failure. But only Sri Aurobindo quotes only half a dozen successful revolutions, and the most even of these were very little like failures. So, it is by great and noble failures Sri Aurobindo assures. Sri Aurobindo actually tried to motivate in this following couple of words. Actually, it is only by great and noble failures that humanity advances. Without failure, really, success is very impossible. So, that quotation, shortly we discussed. Never distrust the man who says, who never failed in life. Work not in her, don't believe him. Work not under his banner, because it is simply he is creating confusion. Because without failure, really success never comes. So once upon a time, you had to, after the very birth, someone actually, he did not actually stand or started learning. It was a step by step procedure, and actually he made it one by one. So before trying to stand erect, he had to do a lot of exercise. He has fallen on the ground, he has tried to cry, then actually he attempted on and on to progress on. So failures have been made. But somebody, if he is telling I have never failed in life, means simply he is lying. Don't try, don't trust, don't follow him, don't take his ideology as granted, nor work under his banner. This is the great thing we have already known. Associated in the quotes beautifully, that it is necessary. How much hatred and stupidity men succeed in picking up the decorously and labeling the religion. So that's why already religion, morality, we are taking it on the very old wine new bottle. We are taking the old thing in a very decorous manner. So religion, one religion is over, that thought is actually getting distorted. Then somebody comes and in a new format, in a very new way, we are trying to labeling decorously and labeling the religion. We are going forward anyway. Here in the sketches a couple of terms in a simultaneous description. We can find here courage and love, beautiful things we find in his description. Courage and love are the only indispensable virtues, naturally virtues, no son, no doubt of it. But Sri Aurobindo quotes in stressing more upon it. Courage and love are the only indispensable virtues ever, even if all the others are eclipsed. When all the others are eclipsed, then also you find courage and love are the only indispensable virtues. Even if all others eclipsed one by another, but you versatilely you rely upon them, then or fall asleep, eclipsed or fall asleep, these two will save the soul alive. So naturally and definitely you have to be in the in the bright side. That is, these two are standing, where these two are standing, courage and love. These are the only indispensable virtues. Even if all the others eclipse and fall asleep, these two will save the soul alive. Second, next one is going, so make not alive, make the soul alive. Just imagine what great virtues are there. Against here in the course, meanness and selfishness. Beautifully, the previous one was courage and love. Secondly, it is coming just opposite, contrary to, contrary things, negative things, not just contrary. It is the negative things I am quoting. Meanness and selfishness. So you do two. These are the only sins that I find in it is difficult to pardon. Still in the course, these are the two things that normally men possess. That normally men possess. Meanness and selfishness are the only sins that I find it difficult to pardon. Very difficult. Find it difficult to pardon. Which are the two qualities? Meanness and selfishness. It is only these things we possess. Our meanness and the selfishness, they are the two steer in the course sins. Not the ordinarily steer in the not casually he is not taking these two. Meanness and the selfishness are the two sins that I find it difficult to pardon. Yet they alone are the almost universal. Just imagine, before quoting the sentence, I was also going explaining that way. Understood in the course, and it alone are they alone are almost universal. Wherever you go, wherever you find, these two are only universal. Therefore these also most must not be hatred in others, but in ourselves annihilated. So universal means I am not out of the universe. I am not included that in universal rating. So I am also there. So when I find something meanness and selfishness in other, these are I don't know these. I don't think or I don't claim it is sins, but these are sins. And it is here in the course. It is difficult to pardon. Very clear, very correct, and it is a universal, almost universal. It is there. So when it is quoted, it is almost universal means it is there inside the universe. Who are staying, it is there, well confined. But so still, I mean, this very much good advice is there. This also must not be hatred, because if you hatred, if they are hatred in others, likely you have to decide in your clear cut vision, then what it is also within you, then what you are going to do for you, because the duality can't be tolerated, so therefore these also must not be hated in others, but in ourselves annihilated. That must be done and that must be taken care of. And finally, Sri Aurobindo quotes, nobleness and generosity as the soul's ethereal firmament. Nobleness and generosity, two very good qualities, virtuous qualities, are soul's ethereal firmament. Without them means this nobleness and generosity, one looks at an insect in a dungeon cell. Likely, it is something like without two qualities. These two qualities, nobleness and generosity, are soul's ethereal firmament. Without these two, without them, one looks at an insect in a dungeon. Just imagine, with these two, we are moving forward towards the nobility, towards the Godhead, towards the divinity. But if it is there, if it without them, if it is there, two are there, then somebody is moving forward and rising forward towards the heaven, virtue, and divinity. And without them, one looks at an insect in a dungeon. Just imagine how inhuman, in vile, how low, how mean we are without the presence of nobleness and generosity. Again, finally, here in the course beautifully, altruism, duty, family, country, humanity. Five things here in the quotes. Number one is altruism, just the opposite to selfishness. Duty, Third, family. Fourth, country. Five, humanity. Are the prison of the soul. Prison of the soul. These things we take normally, in the ordinary sense, we take as a we take as the greatest of the for the greatest virtuous quality. But thing is that here in the course, it is soul's prison of the souls, when they are not instruments. So these are very much decorously they will be helpful when they are instruments. But when they are not the instruments, they are something they are actually acting as the pigeons for the soul. That must be understood. Anyway, it is a good thing, good discussion. I think it will be noteworthy and it will touch the heart. Bande Matram.